advances so rapidly, the more glitches you can have.
I know, and all it was a couple of plugs. I have a feeling that it might be his phone because, like I said, that table's been going strong for 40 years. I know that one is a little, it's shorted out a little. That's why we've been switching it over. But
Right.
the engineer was in here a month ago, and he fixed all 4 of them. So your last show, we had this whole table full of people. Everything sounded fine.
Yeah, everything was good. So, Fred Costello, Supervisor, Town of Saugerties.
Good morning.
Good morning.
It's good to have you back in the studio, Fred.
Yeah, happy to be
Now,
here.
I didn't see Fred slide in. Does he have shorts on today, Greg?
No.
No. No. I would have, though. I did wear them the other day. Not during the blizzard, but
Well, I mean, today's going to be up in the 40s, Greg.
Today's a good day
I
for
figured
shorts.
Today was a
Absolutely.
shorts day for you.
In the 40s?
Right? It's going to be in the 40s?
Yes.
45, right?
I don't know about
it
shorts.
does
in the
feel
40s.
so good, though.
Oh, it does. It does.
We had those single-digit days. Now when
Well,
it's
you know-
35 degrees, you're like, wow, it feels nice out.
I
I
know
had
that.
the window
Yeah,
open
I know
yesterday.
that.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah.
You know, on the flip side, as we start going through the fall and in towards December, we get a day where it's, say, 40 degrees, everybody's freezing.
Yes.
In January, you get a day where it's 40, and everybody, it's like a heat wave.
So I just got a text from Bill, and he checked us on YouTube, and we sound clear. So that's good news.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right, Bill, but try to call back in. Actually, I think from 8 o'clock we have a little bit of a vacancy, right?
Kevin's not making it?
I don't think so.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So we need to, if he could call in then, I know he has a lot that he could talk about his town, as many other towns got hit very hard during the ice storm. So, and he went above and beyond as usual. But there's a pretty good story of him running a chainsaw out there.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I got Michelle Hinchy calling in at 7:30. Maybe she can stay
She
on
can
for
stay
an hour.
on. Yeah, I'm sure she has. She also was really active
Yes.
during the storm and was I don't know. These things are so overwhelming when they happen, but you always leave them with these amazing stories of people dedicating their time to help others, and it's pretty uplifting.
Yes, it is. It is. And we certainly saw that throughout this unfortunate event.
Yep.
A lot of, what do we got here?
Not good news.
Yeah, he just,
You just got that?
well, apparently Fred knew.
I just happened to look at my emails and look at the time, though. It was sent at 3:55 yesterday, so I wasn't even in the office at that time. And if someone would have called me, then we could have filled that
Yeah.
hour. Maybe we can get Bob on for a half hour at 8 o'clock.
Yeah, well,
Let's
you
try
know
to
what?
keep Michelle.
We'll see if we can keep Michelle till 8:30 and
Okay,
then get
try to
Bob.
get Bob at 8:30.
Yeah, because we always run out of time with Michelle anyway.
There we go. Problem solved.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was a pretty interesting couple days we all experienced. And you and your staff, Greg, once again, terrific.
Well,
Thank
that's what they're there for. That's what we're here for. And we officially closed the warming center
you. Last night,
at the
right?
Greco Senior Citizens Center at 6:30. And Red Cross was very, very happy. The individual that you have to do a closeout inspection.
Mm-hmm.
That's something they insist on. And I forget the individual's name, but he was very impressed. He said this is an ideal scenario. They use a small room for their office, headquarters, command post, whatever you want to call it, and obviously having a full service kitchen and then that large hall. It worked out extremely well.
We agree, both of us. However, in our minds, we have another building that serves better, and we can never seem to get to it.
What do you mean we can't get to it? Because
Well, we have the ice rink. But
Yeah.
if we ever are able to be successful with a grant, we're going to put a generator over there, and I think
yeah, that's the last piece of the puzzle.
that's the
you
last
know,
piece, yeah.
And we've used it before, even without the generator. And it is certified by Red Cross. Red Cross has actually, on 2 different occasions, conducted some drills there, some practice runs. And the only piece left of getting the full certification is a generator.
We're going to get it.
Yeah, you wouldn't believe what a nervous wreck I was. Nothing with anything else except losing that
Losing
ice.
the ice.
Yeah.
Well, so the difference between this storm and other storms, it was so darn cold.
Yeah.
I really didn't have a fear of the ice breaking loose because other storms, it would be 40 or 50 degrees outside and we didn't have any energy to keep the ice cold.
Right. But now with the fact that with the new building and it's insulated, even during that cold stretch, there's never been a morning where it's been below freezing in that building. The lowest Rob had, I think he said, was 36. He came in, turned the bleacher heat on, and shot right up to 45 or 48 degrees.
That's incredible, isn't it?
It is. It is, yeah. Well, it just goes to show you the value of insulation. And you got also take into effect that there's no windows. Mm-hmm. The only doors which never get opened unless there's an emergency are emergency exit doors. Because everybody comes in through the lobby, which is a separate building that's heated. And the policy with the Zamboni garage, the garage door is open, goes out onto the ice, and of course the Zamboni garage is heated. But before it goes out to dump, the interior garage door is closed.
Yes, there's an airlock there.
Yes.
So that air never openly mixes between the rink air and the air outside.
Almost similar to a public entry where you have a double lock and you have the heat in between the two glass doors. And so.
Yeah, what a tremendous stride in efficiency the renovation gave us. It was, it's pretty amazing. And it's just, I don't know, it's a nicer atmosphere inside. You know?
Oh, yes.
I haven't really had a lot of occasion to go out there this year, but we were out there for the torch relay.
Yes.
And just standing out there looking around, I developed a sense of pride that we were able to pull that off. Again, a new sense of pride. It was pretty amazing. The building it's a much more permanent feeling, a much more permanent structure than the old building was, and it's better looking. It's more comfortable.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, let's face it. The other building, it was fabric.
Yeah.
It was not insulated.
Yeah, it's tough.
It is tough.
Did a good thing. The kids who went up north did really well, though.
Yes.
Well, we had a gold medal this time, right?
Yeah.
The Mustangs?
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
Good showing.
Yes.
Maybe we'll do something in May where we'll bring them to a town board meeting like we did several years ago.
Yeah. I think that would be fun. 'Cause
Yeah.
I think it's the first time that age group won a gold medal.
I believe so. I believe you're right. Yeah. Yeah.
It was certainly something worth noting and celebrating. And it's every year that, it's just a quick little parade, the torch relay, but it does generate quite a bit of excitement. I was looking at Facebook the night after we did the parade, and, a lot of folks had no idea what it was all about, but then people got on board, and once they realized what it was, they were pretty excited. So it was nice and effective. And then when they went up north, every year we get a good story out of it. Ed won a couple years ago, the gold in 2 categories.
Yeah.
And now these young folks won a gold medal in the hockey, which is pretty special and exciting. So pretty nice.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And the other thing is you just never, ever know some of these individuals, like, for example, those that go up to Lake Placid and compete, win a medal, where they may go someday in the near future.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Is Bill on?
I think, we might have a caller. Bill said he was trying to call back in. So, yeah.
It's not flashing yet, but I'm looking right at it.
Okay.
So you just never know, where they may end up. That's maybe someday we'll be watching them in the Winter Olympics like we are right now.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. And I think,
Greg, so we are going to have that experience. I don't know if it's going to be a hockey, a baseball, a soccer, but somebody's going to do it, especially nowadays. I mean, it's summertime activity, but the Stallions activities, those young folks, there's some pretty gifted athletes in that organization.
All right, let's give this the third and final shot. Let's see. Bill, can you hear us?
It's muted again, but let's give it a try.
Here, I'm going to crank up your studio mic to like the fullest thing. All right, let's give this the third and final shot. Let's see. Bill, can you hear us?
You know what? It's muted again, but let's give it a try.
What are we
Why do we
doing?
get feedback?
Yeah, no, I think you got it up too loud.
Well, Bill, if you have background TV noise and stuff
You
like
there?
that on, it shouldn't be picking that up.
Go ahead, Bill.
Hello?
Hey, Bill.
Yeah, no, I can hear mumbles.
Oh, man. I was hoping to have you on
I'll come
today.
down next week.
Hey, Bill, why don't you call one of our cell phones? We had good success with that one time with Shannon.
Okay, I'll do that right now.
All right.
I don't know what that is. We had George post on the other day. We heard him loud and clear, and there was no problem with that. So,
Lawrence, truthfully, too, we don't know. I mean, coming in this
calling or
morning.
coming in today? Do you know?
What's that?
Is Michelle calling or coming in today?
Calling in.
Okay, so we'll figure it out then. I
Yeah.
have a feeling it's something with his phone, or
You could probably- you
he
could
says he's on
probably-
a landline.
Yeah, you could probably turn turn the volume down a little bit.
I did.
Okay.
We coming in, there's still a lot of scars from the storm. You know, there's some trees leaning on wires here and there, right even on 9W. And
We were off the air on Monday. We weren't off the air. We were only on YouTube because the power was still out in Port Ewan, but then it went back up. But yeah, the power went out here. We weren't on the air Friday at all. It was the whole, pretty much the
Yeah,
whole city was blacked out, and that, including at our houses. I think my mom was out of power for 14, 15 hours. And then
Bill, you
Saturday, I came in here Saturday. I was like, my God, it was like,
I can hear you now.
all right, man.
yeah, that doesn't sound too good though.
It doesn't sound too good.
Well, go ahead. Let's see how it works.
How we doing, Bill?
I can hear you.
Okay, we can hear you. It's pretty good.
What did we do the last time?
I don't remember how we did it. You had some, leaned over a microphone or something. So, how you feeling, Bill? Did you get a little bit of rest?
I had a good sleep last night, yes. But listen, I was listening. I got to bring up one thing real quick. I was listening before, and I heard Greg talking about the Zamboni, and it reminded me that last year he promised I could come down at the end of the season and try the Zamboni.
Absolutely. You can come down on Zamboni Monday. It's the Monday in May after we close.
Zamboni, okay, I'm going to be down. So, how are you, Fred? I know you must be exhausted too.
I got some good rest since then. I feel pretty good now.
Good.
Yeah.
I heard you mention that I got caught out with a chainsaw. I hope I don't get reported to OSHA. I probably had a couple of violations.
So that was Mrs. R from Sawgrease. That was Mrs. R from Sawgrease. Before Bill called in, she said she could hear everyone fine on the radio.
Oh, it must be something with the phone lines in Woodstock, Bill.
Yeah, because she said she heard all four of us loud and clear.
Yeah, Bill, because we were talking about that too. There's still, I came down 9W to get to the studio, and along 9W, there's still a lot of trees, not in the driving lane, but right up to the shoulder of the road and leaning on some wires. So the cleanup effort for this is going to last for a little while.
Yes. One of the real downsides, well, there were a lot of downsides, but this storm in particular, our landline went down a lot, our internet went down a lot, and cell coverage went down. So besides being without power, communication was sorely lacking.
Yeah. Yeah, and that communication is everything to try to be successful.
It is.
You were using radios, I assume, then?
At one point that we lost our highway radios when the generator ran out of propane.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I mean, it was the perfect storm. So.
Holy cows, you're sending smoke signals then.
Yeah, but so just about. We're driving around from place to place. But listen, I heard you were working hard too. I heard you were providing meals. Suze, you cranked up the kitchen there, and
Yep, we did. Yeah, we did. It was it's satisfying to try to help and play a small role. And we had a dozen people at our shelter at one point, I think, probably a little more, but they were staying there for hours on end, and we had the opportunity to feed those folks, and that whole shelter, and a lot of them came from up your way. Olive, I don't think we had anybody right from Woodstock, but there was a gentleman from Olive, West Hurley, and a few folks that way because you guys were so hard hit during the storm. And,
right.
So they came down and found our shelter, and they stayed with us. Two of them stayed for probably 30 plus hours.
Right. We had a couple like that. At our height, I think they told me we had 25 at the height.
Okay.
But then it went down, and it was 2 or 3, and we had from other communities too. Hurley was hit hard. There was one particular section, and that was very slow to come on too. So they were there for quite some time. I tell you, the Red Cross and the National Guard just did an outstanding job up here in Woodstock, and I'm sure in Sorgat is as well.
Yep.
Great group of people to work with.
Oh my God!
You know, that's a good point because they were awesome, and a shout out to them, a shout out to all of our EMS volunteer fire companies, the number of calls that they handled.
Last night we had a town board meeting, and at the end of the meeting, I said I want to take a couple of minutes and just, thank some groups, thank some individuals, and it was, of course, not by any means a total list, but just some examples. And the first, I thanked all Woodstockers because everybody, and Fred, I'm sure you will say the same about Sorgaties. Everybody just came together, worked together, and did what they could, whether it was something big, little, or somewhere in between. And the combined efforts just got us through.
Yeah, this is the truth. And Greg and I were talking about that a little bit. These storms, they're so overwhelming and so tragic. However, you really see the best in people come out, and you kind of leave with this sense of pride and calm that we do still care about our neighbors, and we all try to take care of each other.
It's very on one level, it's very satisfying to go through something like this and see the good in mankind.
Yeah. And there's so many of those stories. I saw driving through neighborhoods, you see neighbors out all together, and they're getting debris off their people's yards so that they get their cars out, or whatever they could do to make a small difference. That's what they were doing. It was pretty special.
I know one family that middle aged but not physically fit enough to get out there and do cleanup, or they took their senior neighbors in because they had a generator and they kept them warm. Perfect. They took care of them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's stories like that, and they're all through town.
Yeah, it's amazing, right? It's pretty amazing. And I want to reinforce what you said, the Red Cross and the National Guard. Wow. Yeah, really impressive. They mobilized really quickly, and they were just dedicated to the mission the whole time. And,
at one point somebody said, "Oh, what are they here for? Security?" I said, "Security? This is Woodstock. What do we need security for?" I said, "No, they're here to help us."
Yeah.
I said, "They're in there cleaning up. They're in there taking out the garbage. They're preparing food and serving food and handing out water bottles." So I had 3 great airmen that were here for a couple of days, and I got very friendly with them, and I would walk in and we would joke around a lot. So at one point I walk in the door and the 3 of them are standing there at attention. And there's a 4th, slightly older individual in a uniform. And I jokingly said, "Oh, you don't need to stand at attention for me." And not a smile, nothing. They stood right there. And the older guy, he kind of chuckled a little. And, I introduced myself, and he was a 2-star general.
Yeah, we had him.
I knew that he weren't standing at attention for me, but, it was nice to see him out and about and assisting and offering, what can we do for you?
Yep, pretty amazing.
It's really just a good feeling.
I think it was the same general who checked in on the Sorgaties.
I'm sure it was. He was making the rounds.
Yeah, I didn't have the chance to meet him, though. I kind of wish I did.
Yeah. Very down to earth. I never would have thought he was a general. When I walked in, I saw him, I said, "Oh, he's probably their lieutenant or something like that." Obviously I knew he was some type of officer because they were being respectful. But, it made them feel good, too.
Yeah, that was a moment for the folks. They were all excited that the general stopped by and very appreciative.
Yeah.
Hey, Bill?
Yes.
So we got Michelle Hinchy calling in at 7:30.
Yeah.
And then, you can call back in, but we're going to try to get her to stay till 8:30. I don't know if she will, but possibly you could call back in at 8:30 or at any time that you'd like to do. But right now we got nobody at 8:30, and I was hoping to get out of here at 8:30, so I don't want to leave Fred by himself.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can call back in then.
Yeah.
So
If you want to call during Michelle's, you're
if you
you're
wanna
welcome
call
to do
in
that
during-
too, though.
Yeah, if you want to call in during Michelle's, please do.
Right.
I know she
big
spent some time up
shout
by
out to Michelle too. She did a great job.
Sure did.
I spent, particularly on Friday, spent a lot of time with her on the phone. What do you need? And at some point we decided we should open up a shelter, and she was quick to get work to get the Red Cross there and the National Guard. And, but she then came down with Legislator Hepner, and the two of them helped the town board. And, between the whole group, we had the shelter up and running in a couple of hours. So it's really impressive how quickly that can all mobilize.
Yeah.
All
All right,
right,
Lawrence
it's
is
time.
giving us the hook.
We're going for
I'll
a
be
break,
back.
and we'll be back in a few.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Hi, I'm Kelsey Grammer. Wounded Warrior Project supports injured veterans by connecting them with fellow warriors, by serving them through mental health and wellness programs, and by empowering them to live on their own terms. No one should face a battle alone. Join us at woundedwarriorproject.org.
We all come together and stand together to serve our veterans. We invest in the latest technology.
We take the time to train the next generation of doctors and nurses. We work together to make sure we heal their bodies and their minds.
This is our mission. More than 300,000 of us working as one, together with families and loved ones. No matter where they live in this country, we'll be there.
We stand strong, united. Stand with us in caring for our veterans.
We are Lions. We bring hope where it's needed, support causes that matter, change lives, change communities, change the world. Visit lionsclubs.org to learn more.
Introducing the YMCA. Sure, you know the Y for a swim or a game of hoops, but we're more than that. We're a cause. When you take a jump shot at the Y, someone else is getting job training. Practice yoga as a team practices her leadership skills. We give people of all ages, incomes, and backgrounds a chance to learn, grow, and thrive. So while you might think of the Y as the place for lifting weights, we're also about lifting entire communities. That's the Y. We're so much more. Visit ymca.net/more.
Hi, this is Jared Mans from the Spring Lake Fire Department, and I support Kingston Community Radio, and so should you.
This portion of Kingston Community Radio is brought to you by Ulster Savings Bank. Visit their newest branch, conveniently located at the Ulster Commons Plaza in Lake Katrine. Experience the difference that local community banking offers with the convenience of another great location, easy access, plenty of parking, and a 24-hour ATM. Ulster Savings Bank, invested in community, invested in you. Member FDIC.
Okay, we're back, and I think, Michelle, are you there?
I'm here.
Okay, good.
Okay, so before, a little housekeeping. Welcome back, viewers and listeners who have been with us. Those just joined us, 331-9255 is our call-in number. We have got Senator Michelle Hinchy joining us virtually. And by all means, if you have any questions for the senator or for us, especially coming off this storm, 331-9255. Good morning, Senator. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
We are doing, I don't know what we're doing, but we're doing. Did you finally get some rest, some sleep?
I'm sorry?
Did you finally get some rest, some sleep?
Finally, yes. I'm up in Albany this week. I came up yesterday, but for all of us, it's been a crazy weekend. So it's good to I think everything is supposed to be restored as of today or as of yesterday. So we're actually able to start to now move forward into recovery phase, right?
Yeah. Michelle, you were very active during the storm. I think that's appreciated. I just want to share that with our listeners. And you're instrumental in elevating and opening a number of shelters. Our shelter, Sargate, certainly the Red Cross and National Guard being there was certainly a reflection of your efforts. So thank you for that.
Absolutely. Well, and I want to thank you both in having the senior center in Saugerties be such a turnkey shelter because of the foresight and the work that all of you do regularly is great. You know, when I was with the county executive and our dishes commissioner, our Homeland Security and Emergency Services Commissioner, Jacqueline Bray, and of course Everett, our head of emergency services for the county, on Friday, and as we were looking kind of across the county of where we would need to set up strategic shelters, of course, we thought of Saugerties and the senior center, and I think, we were looking at other places too in Saugerties as overflow shelters, depending on how much space we needed, anticipating that there would be over 50,000 people without power, which there was. There was over 65,000 across the county, and we didn't know how many would be able to find safe and warm places to be on their own. And so having those shelters was critically important. And, having them in Saugerties and in Woodstock, and then two in Kingston and Rosendale, with some of the hardest hit places in the entire county, was really important.
Mm-hmm. We have got a caller, I believe, has a question for you, Senator. So good morning, caller. You're on the air with Kingston Community Radio.
Yeah, I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing you. Can you hear me?
Oh, yeah, we can hear you fine.
Okay, good. The other day, this is about radio and what their responsibility is, local radio. The other day, I was right in the village of Saugerties, and when this storm was hitting badly, and I'm watching trees going down on Bob Mosier Way, and things are hitting my roof. I don't have the internet, but I do have power. I go to the radio. I go to the station in which the city of license is Saugerties. They're just playing music. I'm listening for 15 or 20 minutes. The disc jockey says, well, we have some icing problems. Their news comes on. This is 25 or a half an hour after the event has at least been going on. And what does the gentleman say? We have some power outages. It looks like Woodstock and Hurley has been hit. I listen for another half an hour. Hardly anything. Music is continuing. Now, this is a station in which the city of license is Saugerties. So then I go to several other stations were off the air. I understand that because of the storm. Then I go to another station in which the city of license is Kingston. Same thing. And then I hear another hour of interrupted music. I find out, because I'm saying to myself, what in the heck is going on here? I go to find out that both of these stations have their studios in Poughkeepsie. However, this period of time, what's going on here? This is totally unacceptable. I just can't believe this. And Senator, explain to me, and how do I put a complaint in? These stations should not have their licenses after something like this. I'd like to hear what your comments is, and thank you very much for listening to me. Bye-bye.
Sure. No, thank you for that. To be honest, I don't know if I have an answer for that. If the radio is licensed locally, Supervisor, I don't know if you have anything to add. We're definitely able to look into it. I know the county executive was on making the rounds on the radio to provide information for residents.
Yeah, and I know that both Kingston radio stations,
but we're happy to find that out too. But clearly there was a gap, a very a gap that should never have existed in that communication. But I'm not sure which station. I don't know as a state level where that falls, but we're definitely happy to look into it to try to make sure that doesn't happen again. I don't know if Supervisor, you know anything additional.
I'm gonna, if the caller's still listening, I'm gonna ask you to email me a little bit more descriptive narrative of what stations you were listening to, and we'll take a dive and try to figure out what was going on there.
So I'm not aware of any radio station being licensed in Sorgeties.
That's what I was just about to say. I don't think there's the only one that's the next closest radio station to you guys is WDST in Woodstock.
That's Woodstock.
Yeah. And then there's the two in Kingston, and then there's several other radio stations in New York. I don't know which one he was picking up. I know we were off the air until Sunday. We were back up. We were on the air Monday, but we weren't on the air with. We were just on YouTube on Monday.
Mhm.
Then yesterday we went back to full. Everything.
So, listener, if you're still there, please email and we'll take a dive into this. And there are, when I was a kid growing up, we all huddled around radio trying to figure out if there was going to be school or not. But nowadays, it's done with cell service, so things are a little bit.
And I can certainly understand his frustration, and I'm just dumbfounded though of what station that would be. But even having said that, I mean Poughkeepsie was experiencing very similar conditions. I think not as bad.
So, not to interrupt you, another nice lady just called in, and she said that she listened to 94.3 Light FM, which is also owned by Pamel. Okay, or actually, no, that might be Town Square Media. She listened to that all throughout the storm, and they gave quite
pretty
up to the minute dates.
Okay.
Yeah, they're 94.3 FM is a Town Square Media station. They're actually on our tower. They were on all during the storm, and that was broadcasted all locally. And they were giving up to the minute, not up to the minute, up to the every 15 minutes of what's going on, what's out of power. So I said to the listener that called in prior to her, listen to 94.3 FM if the next time we have a big storm.
Yeah, but hopefully that listener is still listening. As the supervisor said, if you could email the supervisor some more detailed information, and I know you said you would certainly look into it because.
We certainly want people to know where to go to get reliable information. My email's all over the internet, but if you don't use that, it's fcostello@sorgetesny.gov, and we'll be happy to take a look into that. But one of the things
if you could share that with me too, because we'll make sure if that was a radio station, maybe that was in Poughkeepsie that wasn't on a list of information or something, we can make sure that we get that information over to the executive too. And Radio Kingston, I know, was covering it, and others. But of course, if there's one that wasn't getting that information that plays locally that people listen to, we want to make sure they have all the information possible in a storm event like that.
Yeah. So we've it's challenging to get reliable information out to folks, and I know the county relied heavily on text alerts, and I think those were very helpful because they could happen almost in real time and point people to resources or announce areas that they couldn't go to. So I applaud the county's effort for that.
Yeah, well, and especially in a time when there's no service, right? I mean, I think that was one of the, at least for me, one of kind of the scariest moments was that second and third day when you couldn't make any phone calls. I had a little bit of data. We could still, depending on where you were, get information online, but you couldn't reach anybody. And you couldn't make, you could make text. I have an iPhone. You could make text to other iPhones, but you couldn't send information to someone without an iPhone via text. And so, having a system with alerts that are able to be sent out regardless of that kind of service in which wires are down are critically important, and I'm glad we were utilizing that. I know the commissioner and the state were involved in that too, and of course the county and Pat Ryan were great in getting those out pretty timely and making sure it had all the warming shelter information and the numbers to call and such. It's we're not always prepared for when everything goes down at once, right? The phone lines, the cell towers, the power, and we need to be, especially as we are probably going to see more storms like this on a more frequent basis. But one thing I want to say too is that even with how bad everything was, we were pretty lucky that it was just Ulster County that was hit, because that allowed all of the resources to be brought to bear just for our communities here in the county. I mean, as you mentioned, we had the National Guard at every warming shelter, also on phone lines and hotlines. We had every single utility crew, I think, in the state here and from surrounding states. There were over 2,000 people on the ground, over 1,000 linemen, and then others working to get these lines back up, working in really dangerous conditions too. I mean, I was out there trying to clear the trees that had fallen and blocked my driveway. We couldn't get out, and they were all iced to the ground. And as we were trying to clear them, you're hearing cracks of other trees fall around you. Mm-hmm. Our linemen and the Central Hudson workers were doing that all day, all night, in really cold temperatures, working really hard to get everything up. And so the fact that we had so many people here working on our behalf made something that made this crisis, over in a shorter period of time, while, 5 days is far too long to be without power or electricity. The amount of damage from this storm and the sheer danger from this storm would have taken a lot longer to fix had it impacted other counties as well. So the silver lining of that, at least a little bit, is that, it was just here in Ulster County we were hit the worst, but we were at least able to take all the resources to get everything back up and running in a relatively quick way.
Yeah, that's worth noting. And I think, there's an organized chaos to that whole endeavor. The first round through neighborhoods is to make sure that the power lines that were tangled in trees that had fallen are off and it's safe for the next crews to come through and do the clearing work. So I know I talked to some residents who were frustrated. They're like, they were here yesterday, they didn't do anything, they cut a couple trees and they left. And I'm like, well, they were here to make sure that the power lines that were fallen were actually off and didn't pose a risk to anyone trying to restore power. And and now the crews that are coming through the second time are here to make those repairs. But it's there's a lot of work in between identifying and assessing the situation and then actually making the repair. Someone had to come and clear the trees, remove enough debris so that those line trucks and line crews can actually get in there and start working on the poles and restoring those wires. It's not a ballet, but there's a lot going on there.
Yep. And, I think it's important to say, too, just how incredible of a community effort this was. I came to the Saugerty shelter on Saturday night. I had spent a lot of the day on Saturday at the Woodstock shelter. I was there. I knew they had needed some juice and some other things. Someone had reached out, and so we went to drop some things off, and there was a lot of people there, who are seeking shelter, and which is great. It's exactly what it's there for. People should have been utilizing it. We were so happy to see that. But a lot of people had other needs, too. There was an 83-year-old woman who was there whose insulin froze. And, trying to make sure that we were able to get her new insulin that she had needed pretty much momentarily. Other people who were having other challenges and other issues, and people who left their homes thinking they'd only be there for 1 or 2 hours, and all of a sudden this is turning into a multi-day event, who are then needing things from home or needing things from the store or even a toiletry kit, right? Yep. And we had such incredible community volunteers, people who were across the shelters, people who were staffing from the community, who were staying there themselves, others who were pulling together to buy food and finding restaurants to go half in for pizzas for people who were in these shelters, or in the warming centers. So it was really, everybody really banded together. And the same on our kind of coordination front. As I said, it was myself and the executive and the Homeland Security Commissioner and the emergency services team, and everybody just kind of had a job to do and phone calls to make to get stuff up and running, and we were really able to kind of pull it all together relatively quickly, while hearing the callers' concern on additional ways to communicate, making sure every platform is blanketed on communication. And there will definitely be, I know the county's already doing this, especially with municipalities, definitely a look back on, what are the things, what are the best practices that were displayed during this kind of unprecedented storm, as well as where were the gaps and things that we need to make sure that we close and improve upon for, inevitably the next time something like this happens. So there'll definitely be a postmortem on the work for and the reaction to the storm and the planning for the storm. But so many people in our community really came together, checking on their neighbors, driving people who couldn't get out of their homes or whose cars were fully covered in ice. They couldn't even get in. We do live in a really incredible community, and I think this was one of those moments that really highlighted how much we all look out for each other.
Yeah, I left with that emotion and peace, and we're pretty lucky and pretty special that people were looking out for each other. I know a number of occasions because roads were impassable and communications were down, but the neighbors knew. They're like, hey, there's a couple that lives, and we know that one of the people has a health issue. And we're like, oh, my God, okay. So we were able to get police officers to hike out there and just do a wellness check. And, without that information, there was no way we could anticipate that or even know if they were in the home. But the neighbors knew better and were able to share that, and we were able to respond to it. So,
yep.
Yeah.
One person I want to give a shout-out to also is our superintendent, Kirk Reinhardt. We had, as I was talking to you, Supervisor, about the senior center, and you had heard our concerns about, and while it worked out perfectly, you had heard our concerns about just space, again, not knowing how many people were going to need to utilize the warming shelters. We didn't know how long this was going to last for. And we had thought about the high school as being a location. And I just want to give a shout out to our superintendent. I mean, he was having his own challenges with service and power. But he, thank you for sharing his number. He called me. I gave him a call. He called me right back and was immediately saying, whatever you need, and willing to open the school for help for the community. And I will say, while surprising, not every person who oversees an institution like that is as open to sharing it as a community resource. And so, that was really a special thing. And he was, checking in and making sure that everybody had what they needed. So I just want to say thank you publicly to him and for being such a great team player and community advocate.
Yeah, that's an excellent point, and it's something that should be noted because, unfortunately, I've been around long enough to know that not all the administrations were as open-minded that way. They kind of saw the school as its own resource, but Kirk and his current administration definitely see it as a community resource, and they want to participate in any way they can. So
what a great value having Kirk come to Sorgeties, and everything that we've done, he has just been overly supportive, overly cooperative. The first vaccination that we did in the high school. You hit the nail on the head, Michelle. Great team player. Even yesterday, if he could have pulled that off when we got him on the phone.
Yeah.
With use of Grant T. Morris.
Yep.
For the yard waste. But we're very, very fortunate, and it's good to see even our residents in the community all coming together to help other residents and pull together to get through these times. And this was a very, very unusual storm. I've never seen, to the magnitude in all my years, the number of trees, the number of wires, the number of poles that came down, and a very, very unusual storm event. Most of our winter storms, it starts out as snow, may go to freeze and rain and sleet, sometimes eventually to rain, but this was the complete opposite.
I think that...
Yeah, and on that note, I think there were 100 roads across the county that were closed. Hundreds and hundreds of trees were down, and this was the largest forest, again, as we said, assembled by Central Hudson in its 120-year history. That shows you just how big of a storm this was. We had 3/4 of an inch of ice. That is
unprecedented,
outrageous. When I talk to my colleagues, especially the chair of transportation who deals with these things, especially the kind of roadway conditions a lot, we were talking about it. He lives out in Buffalo, so of course, out in Buffalo they get a lot of storms. And he was like, "So what? You had about 1/4 inch of ice?" I said, "No, 3/4." And he was, kind of beside himself. This was an outrageous amount of ice to hit one community in such a short period of time.
Yeah, really, really amazing. There's another side to this. Saturday morning early when we were out and the sun was rising, it was actually beautiful. It caused a lot of pain, but the landscape was stunning. It was almost like everything was lined with crystal.
It was beautiful. Sunday, finally I was able, we got our power back on Sunday, and I was finally able, and the centers were set up, and a lot of the power was coming back on, and it was quite frankly coming on sooner than we thought. Our power on Fish Creek, we were told wasn't going to come back till Monday at noon, and it actually came back Sunday a little after 4. And so at that point, I kind of looked around, and it looked like we were really living in the world of Frozen.
Yeah.
The movie.
Yes, it was.
It was, that's about when things kind of stopped falling as quickly as they were. So I took a lot of pictures, as I'm sure everybody else did. My camera roll is filled with tree-encased ice photos.
Yeah, pretty amazing.
Michelle, unfortunately, Assemblyman Kevin Cahill had to cancel. Are you able to stay on until 8:30?
I can probably stay on for about another 10 minutes or so. I do have to get over to the Capitol today. We have an early session day, so.
So how about if we do
to stay on a little bit longer?
Yeah,
Let's
so
just go right through.
We'll go right on through, and then when Michelle has to leave, then we'll take a break.
Right, we'll take a break because we have no birthdays.
Right.
Yeah, and I want to announce that thing for Bob.
Well, Bob's calling in at 8:35.
Okay, good.
So
So
we
we can
don't
talk
want
about
to
the new
steal his
family
thunder.
then. Okay, great.
So we'll just go right on
All right,
through.
let's just go straight through.
And then the other thing, I don't know, I got this text about some kind of a cooking pot
yeah,
that
yeah.
Supervisor McKenna, what is that about? I can't understand that.
Can you give us a little insight into that, Michelle?
I'm sorry?
Mr. Ken is asking about a cooking pot.
Oh, that is ours. I also want to say thank you to Supervisor Bill McKenna. He and the town board members Bennett, Radcliffe, and Reggie Earls, and everybody, and Maria Elena. They really, all of Woodstock. I don't know if there was a house in Woodstock that had power on Friday, and they have the community center, but it's not as frequently used, or really maybe they've only been used once as a warming shelter, and we were able to get that one set up with the state, and everybody really banded together there. But they were looking for a pot for, they had some tea, as well as they needed boiling water, as well as some food that required hot water, and of course nobody had hot water, so we brought a pot from our house and brought it over to the community center so that the National Guard and others could make some food for everybody. So I do have to go pick that up.
I couldn't understand exactly what it meant when you had sent the text.
I think that's what that is.
Perfect. That's a nice antidote and not a surprise. So,
Yep.
You spent a significant amount of time in the county emergency center as well. The operations center.
You guys sound a little faint, so if I ask you to repeat yourself, I apologize.
That's okay. I know you were in the county emergency operations center for quite a while as well.
Oh, yes, on Friday. Listen, everybody there in the 911 center, everybody, all the operators and everybody who's there, they were working so hard and getting such, really, I think, an unprecedented level of phone calls, too. What do you do when if you're older and you live alone and you lose your heat? Who do you call? You may not know any of the other numbers, which is why it's so important, too, to have those numbers saved, maybe printed out or written out on your refrigerator. So that way, when something like this happens, and if you can't get online to find them, you've got the number for the local police department and the sheriff's office as you may need. But we were there for a long time on Friday, just trying to, again, we didn't know how bad it was, how bad it was going to be, how long it was going to be. Thinking about, as you mentioned, Supervisor, you're about to get a lineup, and then another tree falls and cuts it out, and so we were trying to get a handle on the things that we would need. And so one thing I would say, following up too on the caller's message, if there are people who saw gaps like that, if there were other radio stations, or if there were, ideas for how to make this better, or something that they saw that worked, please call my office. Our number is 845-331-3810. call our office and report that, let us know, because again, we can share that information. We will share that information with the executive. We'll make sure that as we're doing a postmortem and the county is doing a postmortem, all that information is reflected. So that way, God forbid, but most likely when we experience something like this again, we'll be able to have some of the learnings. So please call our office and let us know those things.
So I'm guessing you had a similar experience. So we defaulted to social media to get messaging out. And my Facebook, I was actually having a hard time keeping up with. I know there's people that reached out that I wasn't able to respond to. I was kind of trying to get a quick glance at them and sense the priority because we had so many other things going on. But afterwards, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, it probably would have been smart to have somebody just go online wherever they had a computer that worked and monitor the Facebook page because so many people were active on that. And, we tried to put posts out there that were helpful. And I think to a degree that was marginally successful, but we have to figure out ways to capitalize on that and make sure that that's available in a meaningful way for folks in the future.
That's a good point. Yes. Yeah.
It was interesting. These storms always have their own flavor, too.
The emergency center was, everybody was really pulling together, and it was, again, I've been in this job for a year now. It was kind of my first time in the foxhole for a kind of a natural disaster, and you don't totally know what to expect, but it was everybody just really jumped into gear, and as we said, everybody kind of took their places, started making the calls, figuring out where they needed to be, providing pots like I did to make sure people had food. Everybody really just pulled it together, and I think had representation across the county. Of course, the northern part where we are was hit the worst, so we had kind of the most people impacted. But when I was in Saugerties, there was talking to a great woman whose brother was coming down. Someone else told a story about how his power went off in the night and his phone was about to die, but he was able to make a call out. He ended up calling 911. It was the number he had. And as he was reporting where he was and that he was out of power and needed a ride, they asked for the phone number, and he said, my phone's actually about to die, and it died. But they were able to go. They had the information. They went to his house, picked him up, and were able to bring him over to the Saugerties warming shelter. So, everybody, I think that was reaching out was well served, and of course we're always looking for ways to improve that and make sure more people know the resources that are available to them in those moments.
Yeah, and looking back, we'll learn so much. The cumulative effort, and you don't know everything that other parts of the government did, and vice versa. And a huge shout out to the volunteer firemen. They kind of invent it as they go along because they don't really they do their planning in advance, but they just respond to calls. And I know each fire department in the Saugerties area handled dozens and dozens of calls. I think Glasgow was at 81. Mount Marion was at like 69. I don't even know what the count would be for Centerville, but they were not just answering in their own district. They were out helping out in Woodstock and other areas a little bit as well. And they had a structure fire, which of course they would in the middle of that. But, what an amazing group of all volunteers. And they really, they're well trained and sincere, and they kind of invent things as they go. I know big contingent of the Mount Marion Firehouse worked closely with the town board to make sure that the water supply in Mount Marion stayed online. And, that certainly wasn't part of a training that they do on a weekly basis, but they knew that was a potential crisis, and they were right on scene making sure any resources we might need were available, and any staffing or communication problem we might have had was there, and we found a way to thaw out the building with a fire truck and a portable propane heater. So we made it happen.
It's a great point. Sorry, but it's a great point. I know Mount Marion House, the firehouse, was also open as a warming center for people, and they were inviting people over. They are promoting their shower. I saw, that was great. And a lot of our volunteer firehouses were open. I know up in, I think Olive and Shandaken, they were open. A lot of them were becoming hubs for people. It was such a community service, and everybody who's a volunteer firefighter really deserves all of that credit, because what they do is incredibly dangerous, and especially in times like that when when yourself, you may not have power and heat, and you're trying to figure out what to do with yourself and your family, having to go on those calls to help other people. That's what comes first for many of these people, and they did it. It was really, really impressive and really special.
Yeah, that's a good point too, because I know a number of the fire folks that I was with, their houses didn't have power either, and they were out making sure everybody else was okay, and they were checking in at home, but they were suffering the same ills that the storm brought to all of us at the same time.
Something I had said after Irene and Sandy a number of years ago, and we've talked about this a couple times on the radio, and I realized this would be a massive, massive undertaking, but what doesn't seem to be a massive, massive undertaking, as these storms, with climate change and these storms becoming more severe, not just winter storm events, but also in the summertime, the hurricanes, the tropical depressions, even if, and you have to start somewheres where your larger transmission lines that serve literally thousands or tens of thousands of customers be put underground, just like in some of your cities where your newer cities where the electrical lines are underground. And again, I realize this would be a massive undertaking. It would take God knows how many years. But I often think about on these main transmission lines, and on the Central Hudson calls, they talked about the Boulevard, the one, several of them, that we shouldn't be looking to start some kind of a program, and with funding, a large amount of funding would obviously be needed. But if you take what the final cost of this storm is going to total, it's going to
there's an economic argument there.
Yeah,
you might have something.
I can't imagine.
You're right, and we are. I think this is something, again, as you said, every storm kind of restarts this conversation. But last year we actually passed, and it was signed by the governor. We actually passed the first step to that, which is a study bill to really get the data on exactly the cost and also how much cost savings we will have post these kinds of storms. So a study bill which directs, I believe it's the PSC, to see what it would take to bury all the lines, because we need to. And it would cost hundreds of billions of dollars, but it's something, as you've said, the economic impact. We're already spending that year over year in storm coverage or storm response, and also just the emotional toll, the health toll, the physical toll for people, especially in a storm like we had when the temperatures are 0 and you don't have heat for 5 days and you live in a rural community. That's just unacceptable. And so, we passed a bill. It was a Senator Comrie bill and Assemblyman Jacobson. Jacobson represents Lloyd and some of the southern parts of Ulster County. He carried the bill in the Assembly, and the governor just signed it, and hopefully we'll be seeing something in, I think it's just a little over a year from now on that. But in the meantime, I think we should really be making plans and continuing to elevate this conversation. And I talked to the CEO of Central Hudson yesterday about, or what day is today? On Monday, actually. Sorry, it's been a long week. We talked to the CEO of Central Hudson on Monday about that exactly. Saying what I was asking him, what are the plans here? What are the discussions? What are you having in your longer term strategy plan to make sure that you don't have to bring so many crews here? Because as I said earlier, we're really fortunate that every crew could come to Ulster County, but that might not happen next time.
Yeah, if this thing...
So there may be, Dutchess and Ulster may be impacted the same, or include Sullivan and Orange, or Greene County, right? So we can't afford this again. So I know that they're looking at a number of solutions, including upgrading some of their grid structures, and burying is a part of what they're looking at. But we've got to figure out, Greg, I agree with you. We've got to figure out a better long-term strategy for our energy system. It's building it. It's making sure we have, or it's burying it. It's making sure that we have reserves too that we could power on. So that this conversation, I brought this up in my conference yesterday. talking about it, and a lot of our colleagues, even those in the cities, right, in the outer boroughs of New York City, they have above ground wires too. So it's this is an issue that affects the entire state that I'm hopeful that we can get a little bit more traction on. But we did make some moves on it last year.
Well, that's good to hear, because I was not aware of that. That's very, very good to hear. And like you said, and I recognize that it's going to be a very, very long-term plan. But again, and not to repeat myself, you have to start somewhere. I mean, just like when with natural gas, when they started burying natural gas lines and expanding natural gas lines. And the strange thing, and I don't know what the explanation for this is, as you know, Fred, and you may very well know, Senator, when the village put the new streetlights in the village, the electrical supply, the power lines that feed them are underground. So during the entire storm, when the power was out in the village and Petition Street was out for quite some time, the lights were flashing. They would come on, they'd go off. They'd come on, they would go off. And if the transmission line that was servicing them was down, I'm not sure where they were getting the power to do that. I mean, it was a little eerie to see, especially in the middle of the night, driving down Main and Petition Street, completely black. Very eerie, and then going on to Petition Street and seeing the street lamps flashing on and off.
During the calls we did with Central Hudson, they pointed to this very conversation because some of the transmission lines have 100-foot setbacks, so they maintain the tree lines away from the transmission infrastructure 100 feet, and that was violated. So I think there's going to be a paradigm shift in their thinking. Does it need to be 125 feet of maintenance outside of the area? So that'll be something we'll learn as we go forward. But I think even within the organization, there's an acknowledgement that they kind of have to look at this and the vulnerability of those transmission lines to a storm event. So we'll learn a lot from this.
When Central Hudson was rattling off the numbers of poles down, lines down, the number, you mentioned over 2,000 utility workers. And God forbid if this was widespread, what if it was Orange and Dutchess County and Putnam or Sullivan and Columbia or Greene? Everybody would have been in trouble. I don't think, we certainly would not be in a position today where we are with restoration if this had been more widespread. And the other thing I think about listening to Michelle's story, what if that caller, before he was able to get the information that 911 needed, that the phone died? With no heat, no electricity, living remotely, he could have froze to death.
Yeah, catastrophic, unfortunate. So,
the good thing I will say is I saw our report yesterday from the county executive that said there were no fatalities or major injuries reported to the storm or in response to the storm, which is great, right? Especially with the temperatures that were so low. It could have been catastrophically worse, and so I think everybody heard our calls and had common sense to make a plan, and find a family member that had a generator or a friend who had power or one of the many warming centers that were set up for that reason. And they're not necessarily the most comfortable place you want to be, although they're very comfortable. But you want to be in your home. But they're there for a reason because the temperatures were really low. And so the good thing, it looks like, and again, we'll kind of continue to monitor it, but as of reports that I saw yesterday, there were no fatalities to that, which is really great.
Yeah, that's great to hear. That's great to hear.
Amazing. Lucky in a way, because there was a big fear amongst first responders, especially in those areas that were more remote, that after the roads were reopened, that we might find some people who suffered tragically, and thank God we did not. But pretty amazing.
On that positive note, though, I unfortunately think I have to leave you guys, although I would much rather stay and talk to you all day.
No, that's perfectly fine. Thank you for filling the void, and we're going to, I won't be here. I'll be in Florida, but the rest of the gang will hear from you next week at your regular slotted time?
Absolutely. And yeah, thank you. We have our early session and conference this morning, so got to get over to the Capitol to make sure we're prepared for that. But in closing, I want to just say again, thank you to everybody who helped in this storm effort. Everyone from calling on neighbors to bringing in neighbors, if you had a generator, to the community volunteers, to, of course, both of you and our town board members and our other supervisors and everyone who really just stepped up to look out for the community. Because of that, we're able to report the numbers that there were no fatalities reported as of now, and have a lot of learnings from a lot of good learnings of things we should continue to do, as well as clearly some I think on the communications piece, places and gaps we need to make sure that we tackle next time. But it was really, really wonderful of the governor too, who called in all of the resources. Right? I mean, we had the National Guard here because she recognized how much we needed it. Mobilized there. I know the commissioner mentioned that there were staff members and from the Department of Taxation and Finance helping with hotlines, manning phone centers for Ulster County response. People were coming from all over the state to support Ulster County residents, and that kind of coordinated response. Again, the commissioner lives in Ulster County. She lives in Stone Ridge. She was embedded full time with our emergency services department. And to have that kind of coordinated response and also that dedicated response from the state and from the governor, really, from what I remember, is kind of unprecedented, and it was really made a big difference. And I think, Greg, to your point, it's why we're able to be here now on Wednesday, I think, with everybody fully restored for a storm of the scale that we had, again, 3/4 of an inch of ice, to be here 5 days later and starting to kind of pick up the pieces and get back to normal. I will say, for anybody facing frozen pipes or any kind of damage, there are numbers for the county that you should call for help with that and to report it. There's a DFS disaster hotline, the Recovery Service Center hotline. 2 is 845-443-8888. Please call that to report any issues that you may have or help that you need. And then the DFS disaster hotline, which is the Department of Financial Services, for questions with insurance coverage related to the ice storm. Again, if you have broken pipes or any tree damage or any of those things, that number is 1-800-339-1759. The resources are here to help you through this, so make sure you reach out.
Well, thank you very much for all of that. And once again, thank you for joining, and thank you for everything that you did and your dedicated efforts over the past 5 days. Very much appreciated.
Thank you very much.
All right, you have yourself a great day.
You too.
Thank you. All right, we'll take a break and we'll be back.
You're listening to Kingston Community Radio on WGHQ Kingston. On your radio at 920 AM and 92.5 FM, and also online at mykcr.org.
Long ago, you wouldn't think of galloping on a horse while doing calligraphy, and you wouldn't have attempted to ride your bike while typing a letter. Yet you think you can safely operate a multi-ton vehicle while texting? Behind the wheel is no place to multitask. If you want to BRB, drive now and text later. Lives depend on it.
Visit StopTextStopWrecks.org, a message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, Noise, and the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Steve Thomas for Habitat for Humanity Restore. Habitat Restores are nonprofit home improvement stores and donation centers that sell new and gently used furniture, building materials, and appliances to the public at a fraction of the retail cost. The Ulster County Restore at 406 Route 28 in Kingston needs your donations. Call our hotline at 845-853-7499 to schedule your free pickup. And thanks.
January is National Blood Donor Month, and Dunkin' Donuts and the American Red Cross are teaming up to honor blood donors who make a difference. This is Donna Morrissey of the Red Cross. All those who come in to give blood in the month of January at a Red Cross blood drive will receive a $5 Dunkin' Donuts gift card. It's one way we can say thank you for being a hero to patients in need. Your help is needed now. Please call 1-800-RED-CROSS, visit redcrossblood.org, or download the Blood Donor app to find a blood drive near you. Thank you for making a difference.
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, we're fighting against childhood cancer every day. At the heart of this battle are our donors.
Most of us want to make some type of difference in the lives of others. St. Jude does miraculous work.
The fact that no one has to pay, it's a place where everyone is treated as an equal.
Everybody is welcome here, and it doesn't matter your religion or what part of the world you're from, all that is taken away. It just gives you some hope.
It's just a nice feeling to put your energy into something that really does genuinely make a difference in a child's life.
There's just no greater gift. If we have the ability to help, then we have a responsibility to help.
Finding cures, saving children. St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Find out how you can help at stjude.org.
Have you ever experienced a wish come true? For a child battling a critical illness, a wish come true can be a turning point. One song, one dance, one game, one adventure, one moment changes everything. Make-A-Wish needs your support to grant the wish of every eligible child. Visit wish.org now to help grant more life-changing wishes. Together, we can transform lives, one wish at a time.
Hi, my name is Jackie Lovezzo. I'm from Lake Katrine, and I support the Kingston Community Radio because it is an invaluable resource to the community and its residents.
This programming is brought to you by the Friends of Kevin Cahill. As a strong advocate of local broadcasting, Assemblymember Cahill urges you to support Kingston Community Radio with your time and donations. Your contributions keep KCR vital and on the air at FM 92.5, AM 920, and on the web at mykcr.org. Please join Assemblymember Cahill and send your gifts of $10, $25, or more to Kingston Community Radio, Post Office Box 4364, Kingston, New York 12402. Together, let's keep KCR alive.
Okay, we're back, and after talking about that milestone, why don't you go ahead and announce it, Greg?
Yeah, buddy, go ahead.
Okay, so the milestone is tomorrow. It'll be 20 years that KCR has been on the air, Kingston Community Radio, 20-year anniversary tomorrow. But we're going to start celebrating it today and announce it and get it out there. And we're not going to pop the champagne cork quite yet. We'll save that till tomorrow.
Save that for tomorrow.
On that note, we do have a caller, so why don't we take the caller before Bob calls in?
Okay, good morning, caller. You're on the air with Kingston Community Radio.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Hey, buddy, how you doing?
Hey, I know you guys had a very interesting weekend, like everybody else in the whole Ulster County had and stuff. And a big shout out ought to go out to Central Hudson and all the crews that they had working all weekend long. Because I tell you what, they was working in tough and difficult weather and everything else, and they could be working in one area, clearing trees and getting lines back up, and just a little bit down the road from another tree limb would drop down and all, because my son was one of the ones that was heading up to different crews and telling them where to go in the area on the weekend, and I had to run out to Rifton on Sunday morning, and driving out 213, you could see all the damage and everything else that was done.
Yeah, it was
and
pretty
the important part is, it was not any of Central Hudson wires that failed. It was the tree limbs that was coming down and taking the wires out.
Right.
From what I understand, those wires can withhold an inch and a half of ice on them. It was the tree limbs that was doing all the damage and everything else around all the wires.
Yeah.
And, hey, with 53 poles down in the county and stuff, they did a fantastic job.
Yeah, they really
I
did.
tell you what, if we was down on Long Island, they still wouldn't have power back as of today. But our crews up here did a great job.
Yes, they
brought
did,
people
George.
From outside the state to get everything cleaned up and everything back up in service. And, hey, it takes time.
Just to, we didn't get a chance to talk about this, and you just reminded me again. In Sorges, there's 9,000 electric customers. At the peak of the storm, over 5,000 people were disconnected. So more than half of the electric grid in Sorges was disabled in some capacity, and they got that back online for the most part in less than 48 hours, which is that's a notable achievement, and there's a lot of reasons to feel proud and grateful.
Oh yeah, and hey, so hats off to those guys, and hats off to all the crews that came in from out of state and stuff, and to put this county back in good shape in a matter of three days after a storm like that was fantastic.
Yeah.
Well,
So
tomorrow,
you guys
actually-
stay safe, stay healthy, and I guess I'll be on tomorrow morning at 7:30 on the 20th anniversary.
Yeah, you're coming in to
So
talking about the American
you guys
Legion,
have a
right?
great day.
Okay, have a great day, George.
I'll be sure to tune in, George.
Yeah.
Thanks for the call.
Now, also, it's funny that George mentioned that. He will be on at 7:30, and then Hayes Clement is our 8 a.m. guest. But after all this stuff happened, I actually got Central Hudson to come on tomorrow as our 8:30 guest to talk about all this stuff. So I was going to announce that at the end of the show, but since
Oh, that's a
Georgia brought
good
up Central
segue to
Hudson,
get that, yeah.
so they're Central Hudson's also one of our underwriters. So I had sent them a email on Monday. I'm like, hey, we need to talk about the storm. And I was like, oh, absolutely. So tomorrow, 8:30, Central Hudson will be on the air to talk about all the stuff that's going on, and hopefully they can bring us up to date.
Yeah, they I'm saying this and understanding that there's a lot of folks that are frustrated because they're out of power for so long. But Central Hudson reached out to communities and tried to give us reliable information and supply resources when they could. They promptly scheduled daily calls and gave us immediate updates. And then there's liaisons from the utility to each community. So, there was, I mentioned the Mount Marion water problem. Without power, that pumping system will not supply the neighborhood. So they asked us what priorities, what infrastructure is down, because they don't know.
Right.
And, we shared the ones that were important. We had the Malden wastewater facility that was running on a generator. We had the Mount Marion pumping station, which was not running on a generator. And over a period of time, those residents would have run out of water if we couldn't get it back online.
Right.
So they wanted to know, hey, you need to tell us where we need to focus our efforts. And obviously we want everything.
That's something you got to be for electric company to, they're asking for the public input and where do we need to focus our efforts on. That's awesome. And how do you guys have generators at your house? How long were you guys at I know you don't live actually in this village of Saugerties.
Yeah.
Were you guys at power at your house?
Never lost power.
Really, not one
Never
thing.
lost power.
And what about your road? Did you have limbs? I mean, you must have had limbs and trees and stuff down.
No,
you didn't really
not-
get hit with the ice storm up on.
No, we got hit with the ice storm, but I had some limbs down in the yard.
You just got a little lucky.
Yeah, apparently.
What about you, Fred? You lose power at your house?
Oh, yeah, we lost power probably 30, almost 40 hours.
Really? And do you have a generator?
No.
You don't?
No,
My
we
mom
have
doesn't have one either, but we're
a gas
seriously thinking about
fireplace.
getting one this summer.
Yeah, once
just in
you go
case
through
this
this.
ever happens
Yeah,
again.
we had a gas fireplace, so we were able to maintain.
So you're
heat.
able to cook and have a look. But
Yeah.
30 hours is a long time
It's
to
a
be
long
out.
run, yeah.
I mean, the house must have got kind of cold with 30
No,
hours.
because of the propane heater. We had the
But you still had to
propane-
worry about your pipes freezing and the walls and.
My wife's smart. She kept all the doors closed, and we.
So you woke up Friday morning to no power.
Yep, Friday morning we were
So
already
that's
in
what happened to
trouble.
me. It must have kicked off in the middle of the night sometime.
Yeah.
I got lucky and mine came back on around noon, 1 o'clock, and then it kept going on and off. But by Friday night, it seemed to be fully back to.
We were actually woken up by the storm because you could hear the ice hitting
Oh, it
the
was
glass
hitting the
and
window
wind.
like crazy,
Yep.
man.
And we woke up, and I think the light was still working, and about 10 minutes later, it was done.
I mean, at one point we were supposed to get like 8 to 10 inches of snow, and then it just became a complete ice storm.
Complete ice storm, yeah.
I think I would have been happier shoveling snow than dealing with everything that we
Dealing
had
with
to
the
deal
ice.
with.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we're still dealing with the ice. Quite
You
frankly,
are.
I mean, we had.
But yesterday it was just dropping off the trees. Like I'm
Yeah.
driving down Main Street yesterday, and I thought people were throwing snowballs at me. I was a little scared.
Mm-hmm.
It was hitting my car like boom, boom, boom. I'm like, what am I doing? It's the ice melting off the chunks of ice melting off the trees, hitting the car. And
Yeah.
obviously, you guys know I got a new car.
Yeah,
from
so you're
Bob,
cringing
and
a
it's
little bit.
relatively new. It's a couple years old, but I got a really great deal on it. Thank you, Bob. And I'm saying, oh my God, I don't want my, I just got rid of a 14-year-old car. So now I'm like taking every precaution to keep this thing, brand new, parking it, not, just trying to. So all this stuff's hitting the car. So yesterday when I went and parked in the parking lot where I normally park, I kept it away from all trees or whatever.
Smart.
Yeah,
Smart.
but now I'm noticing today it's supposed to be up to 46. Yesterday I only got up to 42. And did you see Saturday's temperature? I know you'll be in 80-degree weather by then, but we're supposed to be up to 50 on Saturday.
I'll take it.
No, I looked at the forecast. It's not going to be 80 on Saturday. It's going to be 78.
So what county are you in down in Florida?
You didn't hear me. It's going to be 78.
That's still nice. Are you closer to the ocean or?
Oh, right on the Gulf of Mexico.
Oh, okay. So
34
Naples? Are you guys in Naples or?
No. We're not that far. 34 miles southwest of Tampa.
Oh, okay.
Stone's throw from St. Pete Beach.
Oh, okay.
Indian Shores.
Great.
I'm surprised they haven't
So
called
you'll
out
be
to
there
change
for
the name of that.
So you'll be there for the Super Bowl then this weekend.
First year because of the 17th
it's
week.
later.
Right.
17th week, and it's a week later.
Wow.
So when I hit the pools, you got to.
Is Bob gonna call?
Who?
Bob.
Yeah.
We could probably do the phone. Michelle's didn't have a hard time hearing us, so I think we can probably do the phone with Bob.
Yeah, he's going to call at 8:35. That's the text he sent me. Why, did he send you something else?
No. Well,
Bill's-
our assemblyman is able to call in, but if Bob's going to call in, I don't want to have both.
Well, Bob's only can talk for 5 minutes, 10 minutes. How long?
Kevin
is it?
could call in now? What
Kevin
about breakfast?
Huh? What about breakfast?
I didn't eat this morning. I haven't had a.
Why don't you have him call in, and then when Bob does call in, Bob can take care of announcing that. I think Kevin would like to hear that. And
Yeah, I agree. I told him yes.
Yeah, we got two lines.
We can have two callers on
we
at the
can have
same
two
time.
callers.
It would be good to have him on.
So what else is going on in Saugerties? A lot of people at the ice skating rink?
Yeah.
Like it probably gets busier during the weekends than it does during the week, right?
Even our public sessions during the day, during the week.
And now, how much does it cost, like, to bring your family up there if you wanted to, the family of four, a mother, a father, two kids?
$8 public skating, $8 for adults, $6 for students.
And how long does that go on
That's
for? A couple hours they get to skate?
Hour and a half.
That's nice.
Hour and a half. Yeah.
So it's similar to like Rockefeller Center. Everybody's in a
Yeah.
and it's a pretty
Halfway
I've
through
seen
the
size of
session,
the rink is
after-
pretty big.
after-
Now, the local hockey teams come in there and practice, or
practice games. Yeah,
Really?
that's all there is.
There's activity there from 6 to midnight. Pretty
That's
much.
all there is in the evening, starting about 5:30, right till.
and on the weekends too.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So
That's when that JV varsity is Friday night, Saturday night, sometimes Sunday
So
night.
Saugerties does all their. Saugerties has a hockey team now.
It's not funded by the school. It's a club.
Oh, okay.
Okay, like other schools, Washingtonville, they're funded by.
And
the
they
school
come all the
district.
way up here to use your rink.
Oh yeah.
That's
well, they
awesome.
play in the league.
Right.
It's a high school league.
Right. That's awesome.
And FDR uses it as their home rink.
This might be the assemblyman. Yeah, it still blows me away when you go through there and you see all of those license plates from out of state.
Yeah.
Connecticut, New Jersey, Massachusetts, on the regular.
We have Assemblyman Kevin Cahill. Good morning.
No.
Nope.
Kevin, are you there? He was just there.
Is he on the line?
Yeah.
Or did we lose connection?
No. Unless he lost. Unless he's on his. Kevin, are you there? No, maybe we did lose him. I was just teasing.
If you're listening, call back.
Yeah, I was just teasing him about no breakfast, and
maybe he got mad.
Got mad and hung up on you.
He's a politician. He's not going to get mad. Call back, Kevin, if you can hear us.
All right.
Yeah. And speaking of that, the ice coming off that roof yesterday was deafening. And, boy, it was shooting off and like missiles. That ice can be dangerous.
That roof is probably half of it 60 feet. So those are some pretty long and lengthy pieces of ice flying across the top.
58 feet to the peak.
Yeah, so it's
coming off in sheets.
pretty good sheets.
In missiles.
Yeah. There's a lot of videos on YouTube and TikTok and social media of ice coming off fairly large buildings because it's quite a sight to see it happen.
The year we were in San Antonio for the National, this had to be, because it wasn't the most recent time, 15, 18 years ago. They had an ice storm the night before, and as we came in, and then it warmed up, and those sheets of ice coming off the buildings was just unbelievable. And the ramps getting off the interstate, they had dump trucks halfway up, two guys in the back with shovels shoveling sand out.
We got Bob on the line.
We've got Bob Circasano. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
Good morning, Bob.
I just seen the dump truck go by shoveling the sidewalks with throwing some salt out. That's awesome.
Yeah, the mayor's.
They just went by Ulster Avenue, which is great.
Yep. The mayor's got his crew out there trying to take advantage of the warm weather.
Great job on everybody's part of getting through this storm. I know you guys talked about it, but like the gentleman just called. Everybody just did a super job from the gentleman that works for the village, the town, all the firemen, the EMS people. What a great job they did. Thank God.
I mean, it struck me a little bit yesterday.
Hopefully, we won't have to go through this again for a long time.
Hopefully, I hope hopefully not. Never.
But you know what? The one gentleman that did call earlier, I'm going to say probably a little bit after 8, I think it was, or it could have been before that. He's right. I was driving through town, just checking on my properties, and I turned the radio on, and all I did get was music. There should be process in place where, when something does happen, turn to this radio station for all updates of who to call, who to contact, where to go, and all that kind of stuff. But that's something that maybe between the village, the town, and the county could go ahead and talk, try to put something in place. But I did experience the same thing what that gentleman was talking about.
Okay.
But, the reasoning for my calling is mainly of, the fundraiser that I sent you guys to announce on the daily on the radio station is a young lady, Miranda Vernieri Newkirk, and her family is going through some terrible time right now with cancer. This poor young lady graduated from Saugerties High School in '98, has 3 little children, and she just gave birth to another boy. And she's going through a major cancer situation, and we're doing a fundraiser with the help of some people. We're doing a takeout dinner, spaghetti and meatball dinner on February 20th at the Elks Lodge, and I want to say thanks for the Elks Lodge for helping us cooking all the food and preparing all that. And I believe we probably have over 150 dinners sold so far. Our goal is 350, so we are working on that. And it's $12 a ticket. It's basically pick-up only, takeout. And tickets are available here at Sawyer Motors and also at Frank's Jewelers on Petition Street. But that's what we're doing. A lot of stuff that I'm working on. Greg, we're going to be trying to put together another softball tournament.
I heard that, yeah.
Yeah, so we're working on that, and I have a meeting with the owner of J.J. Newberry's to see how we could possibly do a fundraiser in that place, and before she does what she wants to do with it, I noticed that she put all new glass in front of that, so I've been inside that facility, and it's really, really nice what she's did to that. She's got heat and air conditioning in there, working very well, and so we're trying to put together an event happening on some weekend, possibly some entertainment, music, maybe like an art show or something, but we have a meeting today about that, how we could do that. But, car show, before you know it'll be here on, July 10th. We've already booking all the bands. I'm getting a lot of bands to call in. My Jersey boys they're booked. They're definitely going to be playing at the main stage. And, and then we have some auctions to do. We have the UARC auction. Ray Tuck and I will be the auctioneer on April 1st. So that's a fundraiser that we've been doing for quite some time. And then, we have that one that in May that we're going to be doing the Boys and Girls Club at Diamond Mills, which is also a lot of fun. And then we go down to Wiltwick in June for Center for Spectrum Services in June. And we're happy to say that I'm going to be helping the animal shelter on May 7th. Not sure where the place is going to be for the auction, but that's a fundraiser that that's been going on for quite some time to create the animal shelter. So that will be definitely something that to come and have a lot of fun. So happy to say my daughter Macy's on the board of that, so she's quite involved with that and all the other good things that happen around here. But other than that, looking forward to all these things that are coming up. It's been a cold winter.
Yes, it has. We were lucky in December. January turned on us.
Yeah, we were good to about I think it was about the 15th.
Yeah.
So up until then it was but then, boy, the last 3 weeks, woo.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to see.
Other than that, everything else is good,
Good.
Other than what we went through this past weekend, still have a lot of ice on the cars. Not much you can do with that. You really don't want to chip it off because you'll be damaging the paint. So we have to let the nature take its course with the sun and melt it away.
Yeah. It was fun to listen to you go through the list of events you have coming between now and July. Congratulations. And all very worthy causes. So terrific. Make a unique challenge, and funding for all these organizations is a huge challenge. Fun, and people want to participate in it, and you make it that way. So congratulations.
Thank you. But we keep on saying the same thing, Greg. Is we live in a town that everybody just supports everybody, and it showed here by this past weekend where you had all these people helping you guys volunteer and want to pick up people, bringing food. It was really nice.
Yeah, everybody came together, and it just shows. We hear about this all the time. Rob Appleton, who used to be on this show, called in last week, and he spoke about the uniqueness in Ulster County, and he says, "Boy, how I miss it." And he elaborated to some extent last week. It was good. It was good hearing from him. I believe he no longer captain, right? He got promoted.
I don't know. If
He's like a commander now of his old barracks.
Yeah. Working out of I think he's based out of Niskayuna. I think
Sounds
he said.
right.
Yeah.
But one of the projects you mentioned, I'm going to add a little bit to the animal shelter project. That project was somewhat of a fantasy 3 years ago when we got started, but it's very close to a reality now. We've raised over 80% of the funding needed to construct a new building. Tonight, hopefully the town board is going to pass a resolution that will allow some bonding. I want to assure residents who might be listening that the capital cost for this project will be covered by grants and donations. We have secured over $1.7 million to fund the project already, and the fundraising efforts are still ongoing. And so we're very confident that we can build this project without burdening the taxpayers with the capital to construct it. And I'm fairly optimistic that we're going to start construction this year. I think as soon as the weather gives us the opportunity, we're going to go in there and develop a well. We need the data from the well to make sure to analyze it and know how much water we have to make sure it's enough, plus the quality of the water and what kind of treatment is necessary so we can incorporate that into the construction bid. And we're going to start to build the access road into the wooded area on the property where the transfer station is. That's the current home. But we're going to an area that's never been developed before and construct a brand new 5,000 square foot facility. And our animal shelter currently adopts out 330 to 350 animals per year. And when this new facility is in place, they're confident they'll be able to adopt out 500 plus. And the quality of the care for the animals will significantly improve. The staff makes up for the shortcomings of the current building by spending a lot of time there, but the current building is basically a garage that was converted, and this new building will be conceived and developed as an animal shelter and have all the amenities that make it better for the animals that are there and better for the employees that are trying to care for them. So it's a significant and noteworthy project, and we certainly are grateful that you and Macy have gotten involved and helped us achieve this goal. But
and that's going to be constructed at the same site.
The same property.
Same property.
Yep. But there's a wooded area alongside the capped landfill that's never been developed. And we identified a very good area to support the building. And before we picked that site, there was a group of folks that I was part of that we went and visited animal shelters all through the Hudson Valley. And our original thought was that we wanted a retail kind of exposure along 212. But after visiting those other animal facilities, we realized that that's the wrong approach. It's good for visibility, but it's bad for the animals. We wanted a kind of a campus setting, secluded, so that the building could be in a wooded area, and there's opportunity for trails because a lot of volunteers come and they'll walk the dogs. So if there's a trail system around the building, and this area checks all the boxes. And had we not gone out and explored, we would not even have known the quality of the site that we had. So it's going to work. Yep.
Well, that's good. That's something. I never been to the one that they're using right now, but I know they outgrown it, and I heard that it's they're ready for a new building. So, which is great.
Yeah, for anyone who's visited the animal shelter, it's a great story, but the building, the architecture, the age of the building, it's less than adequate, and it certainly doesn't meet what folks would envision as a current standard. And our shelter plays a significant role in the infrastructure that supports animal welfare in the Hudson Valley. Our people work closely with the SPCA in Ulster County, Columbia County, Dutchess County, and other rescue and animal shelter agencies throughout the Hudson Valley. And we're talking about the storm we just suffered here, but there was a storm last year in the south, and that displaced a number of animals, and many of those animals ended up here, and we were able to find them homes and put them back out. So it's a really important thing to occur. And Ellie and her staff, Morgan and Shaylin, they're so dedicated to this. And Adele, who Macy works with pretty closely, that's Marie Post's mom. And for anyone who's been in animal care knows the legend of Marie Post, Adele's kind of taken up that cause, and she's dedicated a lot of her free time to making sure that this shelter gets built.
Very good.
Yeah, good, exciting stuff. I didn't expect to go on that tangent.
It is exciting stuff.
Yeah.
No, that's good. I mean, and it's great to hear that this thing is
ready
for groundbreaking with it.
Yeah. For folks that are listening and are interested, on the animal shelter website, there's a lot of information about the new building. There's a number of opportunities to pledge money or buy bricks for the patio that's going to be out front, or sponsorship opportunities to buy amenities. You could buy a dog kennel and have it dedicated in your memory or in your family's memory or another loved one. And those contributions are what's going to make this possible. And we certainly wouldn't be able to do it without Sawyer Motors. Bob and Macy have been good partners in so many things, but this is another one of those instances where a project of this magnitude couldn't happen without the support of the community, and we're so grateful. Macy's been a terrific part, and I just a quick note, Bob, when we were meeting, and we didn't have really any money to make this conversation meaningful, Macy became part of the team. And she's like, yeah, we could do this. And she had that same optimism that you share. And I'm like, okay, but I don't see how we're going to get there. But she knew there was a path to success, and we're on it now. And hopefully before the end of the year, we'll have some substantial construction underway.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You stop and think about many of the undertakings, the larger undertakings. And I'm not talking the last 10 years. I'm 20 years, 30 years. What many thought were impossible or challenges I just couldn't be overcome, we've overcome them.
Yeah.
And impossible has become reality.
Mm-hmm.
And impossible, here's another good case. What seemed to be impossible 2.5 years ago is on the verge of starting to become reality.
Yeah. Yeah. And Senator Hinchy and Senator Tague have both been supportive and have been able to help us get access to a number of grants. There was Mary Bradford, who left the balance of her estate to the animal shelter for this purpose, which was incredibly generous, and that was a substantial contribution as well. We were able to secure agricultural grant to help with the construction. All told, we're comfortably at $1.7 million of what we believe to be a little bit over a $2 million project.
That's fantastic.
Fred, what's going to happen with the old shelter?
That's to be determined in the future. That building is lacking in many ways, but I think it has a useful purpose as some type of storage facility, and certainly the town has abundant need for that, and I sort of see it going in that direction.
I remember when the landfill had a track loader. That's where it was stored.
Inside that garage?
Inside that garage, yeah.
We all need storage.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Boy, oh
There's no
boy,
ending
yeah.
to that.
It's that's for sure. Indoor storage, interior storage.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people are lacking with that.
Yeah. No, the ice cream building is a 2-story, and what's the upstairs going to be for? Storage.
Smart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Storage. We have for a car show and all the events that we do, and what we need here at Sawyer Motors, we need more room.
Oh, I never even stopped to think about that. All the paraphernalia that comes along with all the events that you do. Wow. Yeah.
We got 2 trailers right now filled with stuff, for staging and.
I hope you're putting an elevator. I hope you're putting an elevator in so poor Ray Tucker or Brandon or Macy doesn't have to carry all that stuff up and down the stairs.
They're all
they want me to put elevator in there.
Yeah.
I hope Ray's not listening because that might now become a bargaining point.
Yeah, that's for sure. No.
But that's progressing.
I'm going to let you go.
The ice cream store is progressing. I think you do you still have a targeted date in mind?
Yeah, this spring. Spring. We have a meeting today with one of the designers for the outside. We were going to wrap the outside building with stainless.
With stainless?
It's going to like a retro type thing. It's going to be pretty sharp.
Nice. So it'd be like a finish you'd see somewhat at diners more often than not.
Yeah.
So it'd be Art Deco stainless steel sheets.
Correct.
Oh, that's going to be really sharp.
Yeah, that will
like
be
the
sharp.
50s diner when you go, they have all that stainless and they put designs on it and stuff like that with the black and white checkerboard tiles. So there's a lot of. It's going to look nice.
Yeah, we will. I'm sure it will. So good. Good.
With that, I'm going to let you guys go because I know you got about another 8 minutes and.
Well, thank you.
Back to work.
Thanks for calling in and
Thank you.
Okay.
sharing the details. We've got the flyer in the events folder, so it's going to be read every day, right up
I
to the
appreciate
event
that.
on February the 20th.
Very good.
Thanks, Bob.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Have a good day, Bob.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Was in the dealership.
It's great when someone cancels like Kevin at last minute, and we can call Bob Circusano up to talk about local events and just the things that's going on in his world and all the great things that he does for the community with fundraisers and
pretty incredible.
What does this guy get any sleep at night? I mean, my God.
I've asked him several times when he sleeps. I don't know when he sleeps.
Maybe at his desk he takes 20 minutes. He just nods off. I tell you, who's really good at doing that? My father. And I used to come over, and my mom said, "Oh, he used to do it all the time." He used to take these 20-minute power naps like a cat. Like going out to dinner, and I see my dad sitting there snoring. I'm like, how the hell is he going to go out to dinner? 20 minutes later, he'd be waking up.
Good to go.
How would you take if I'm out snoring? That's it for me. I'm going to be sleeping for at least a couple hours.
Yeah.
Who can put themselves to sleep in 20 minutes and wake up and feel fresh? Walter Maxwell was one of those people.
My dad would do it too.
You know what I have found over the years? I could take these power naps. Okay, I've been told I've been in the middle of a conversation and fallen asleep.
Yeah. Now
then wake back up and a couple minutes later and resume the conversation.
Yeah,
I've been told.
I've gotten bored before in meetings, and I remember I was doing this gratitude training thing down in Florida a couple years back, and sometimes we'd be in the middle of this seminar, and it was boring the heck out of me, and I would just try not to let anybody know and put my hand up and take a quick nap, but not want to get caught. But that was from being bored, not from actually training myself to go to sleep. So amazing. But yeah, Bob does a lot of good things for the community, and it's great to have him on board.
Yeah, sure.
So what do you rifle off? Like 5 or 6 auctions you're doing?
He was. Yeah. ARC, Spectrum Services, the Animal Shelter,
Boys and Girls Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he does. Yeah, how many things does he do? Diaz Ambulance, the Happy Christmas Fund. I mean, he does a lot of different things for a lot of different people.
Yeah,
So.
it's pretty amazing. And
kudos to Bob Circusano.
They did the Jack Rose Memorial last year, and that was kind of a fantasy when those folks first got together to talk about it. And when Bob got involved, they found ways to develop mechanisms to do the fundraising, and all of a sudden we were there and we were celebrating that, and it came out beautiful. And I think it's really satisfying to see people go there, and I know for the folks that were involved in it, seeing them there, it's more than satisfying. It's
he comes up with these little ways, like the day of the Happy Christmas Fund, and I had no idea he was going to do this. Maybe he had told Greg on the way down. I don't know if he came up with it the minute he walked in the door, but he also had gave us Pat and Diane, our new phone operators. So he comes in, he sits down. Greg and Bob have an hour, for their fundraising, techniques or whatever. Bob sits down and he goes, the first people that donate, the first $1,000 donations or whatever, I'm going to match it, and you get to, obviously it's the winter time when he's doing it, but I will show up at your party or your event
with the
and
ice cream
fill
truck.
my good humor truck up with ice cream, and whether it's a kid's party. 3 people called in instantly when they heard that and donated. That was $3,000 right off the bat, and I'm thinking to myself, did he come up with that on the ride down? And one of the ladies
He probably did, because I wasn't aware of it.
Right, and one of the ladies that was answering the phones was like, "Oh, my kid's birthday party is in July. Can I do it?" She's like, "Yeah." Bob's like, "It is good up to a year." So what more wouldn't you want having a kid's birthday party with free ice cream for the kids? I mean, that's like a no-brainer. But Larry Circusano called up and took it. I think 5 people did that. We got an extra $5,000 in donations that day just from Bob. Probably thinking that on the way down, I'll do this and that. And I'm sure the two of you have actually seen that good humor truck.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah, that thing is sweet, man.
And
he's got the little. If you go into his store at Sawyer Motors on Ulster, he's actually got the push. There's a push one that goes with it.
Yeah,
he's got a lot of. I remember the first time we went up in there for the Happy Christmas Fund meeting. I'm like, is this a car dealership or all the Coca? I mean, all the Coca-Cola stuff, the little. The boats, that little Chris Craft,
yeah. He can sell tickets to go in there. It's a museum. It's so much fun.
How many times have you heard me say, and this you experience this? Words really cannot project.
Not at all.
What he does and his showroom floor. But how many years? As we're on the verge of the holidays, early December, mid-December, where I mentioned if you did not realize it and you walked in there. And you never been in there before, and you don't read the sign on the outside of the building.
Right, you're not looking at the cars across the street.
You think you're going into a Toys R Us.
Yeah, totally.
There's no cars in there. There's no vehicles.
There's not one car in there. Well, yeah, no, there's not even one car in there. But and the other thing is he's got a Christmas tree that's made out of these old hubcaps that, and I'm like, now when we were going up there to get my car, which was like right around Christmas Eve, is when we were taking delivery of it. I'm like, where do you put that thing when, for the 2 weeks, the 50 weeks out of the year? I'm like, and he didn't even ask. I'm like, I know you don't fold that in half. It must take 5 people to carry it. He's like, well, we got a space for it. I'm like, you can't keep it outside because it's going to get rusty.
Right, yeah.
But it sits right, you guys see it probably every day when you drive down Ulster Avenue. It's got, 57 Chevy hubcaps on it.
It's cool.
Yeah, he's got quite a good bunch of things. So we only got about 40 seconds left. So Greg, enjoy your 4 weeks vacation in the sunny state of Florida.
You don't have to tell me to do that. You know that?
I know.
Because guess what?
I'm jealous that you get. I only get to go for 4 or 5 days at a time, and every time I land, I get goosebumps. And then when I get ready to leave, I'm like, I love New York. I would never move back to Florida, but
I love New York also. But getting out of here this time of the year is
a great time to do it. So while I'm skiing on Friday, you'll be getting ready to join the warm air of Florida. Fred, you'll be back next week?
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
All righty, so Fred Costello, thank you. Lawrence, thank you. And most importantly, listeners, thank you. Even though I won't be here, we'll be back right here. Fred and the rest of the gang, next week, same time, same place.
All right, have a great day, guys.